Your attention, please. It's Monday, January the 12th, 6 p.m. And at this time, our regular session is going to begin. And at this time, I would like to tell you that we're going to do an invocation. We will now have an invocation. I invite you all to join with us or engage in a moment of silent reflection. And I want to make you aware of a few things. Please keep in mind Mr. Stephen Rourke, the principal of East McDowell Middle School. He's still battling his issues, and he is at Fry Hospital now in the Hickory area. Remember Dr. David Ricketts, he's previous McDowell County School Superintendent, and he had an accident at Catawba Falls, and he's very serious accident. He's doing better now. And we've had some students who were involved in vehicle accident over the holidays, and they need our prayers. And we have other students and families who are struggling with hardships at this time. And just please keep these folks in your thoughts and prayers. At this time, I'm going to ask us to pray. Lord, we come before you in humbleness to ask your blessings in this meeting. We ask that you give us discernment as well as guidance on the decisions we're about to make for our students, for our teachers, and complete staff of the McDowell County school system. Let our discussions and decisions be the best for all our top priority, our children. Help us to be a positive influence and provide a safe environment for them. Lead, guide, and direct. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. McGinnis to introduce the color guard who will present the colors and do the pledge.
If you'll all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, it's going to be presented by the McDowell High School NJROTC, and shortly after we're going to have a presentation by First Sergeant Miley regarding a DC field trip.
Color guard, attention, carry, colors, ready, cut, forward, march. Color guard, halt, right, face, present, colors,
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
carry, colors, ready, cut, post. Right, face, forward, march. Color guard, halt.
you can take your seats.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Britt, board members, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I'm just really happy the flag wasn't dropped. It's been a couple weeks since the break, so I appreciate that. That was awesome. Before we begin, I'd like to talk about Operation Culture at the Capitol. And for those who we haven't had the pleasure with, I'm First Sergeant Miley, the Naval Science Instructor over at McDowell High School. And as we begin, I want to talk about an adage from my past life called reinforcing success. Reinforcing success doesn't mean abandoning things that we're losing hope on or we're having issues or tribulation, but reinforcing things that are good, especially in our community. And I'm confident we did that with Operation Culture at the Capitol. So here are our enabling and terminal learning objectives, which took place. And keep in mind, in order to go to Operation Culture at the Capitol, we didn't just have anyone sign up and pay. This was funded off the sweat and determination of our cadets and support by our community members, especially members of the board and people in this room. On top of that, you also had to meet certain prerequisites to include passing the American citizenship exam, which 1 in 3 Americans fail. You also had to do the Ugly American presentation through a PowerPoint, which was referenced from a book I highly recommend everyone read. It talks about how Americans are perceived on an international arena. And of course, they had to be in good academic and attendance standing at McDowell. So with that, it was a merit-based experience. There on your left, you see cadets having fun at Topgolf in Maryland. And on your right, you see some of our cadets taking a walk at the National Mall at night. I want to say that a lot of this that you'll see in these next few photos wasn't just cadets coming together and enjoying what 20 cadets, which is a third of our program, got to partake in, but it also had a lot to do with Principal Whitten having a lot of trust and confidence in our program, especially from parents and members of the community, invoking and indeed reinforcing success. They experienced rare worldly experiences intended to culture our future leaders. I hate chicken nugget kids. I hate them. But you know what? I love smothered and covered as much as anyone else. But we do have children and students and young Americans at McDowell High School now bragging what it's like to eat schnitzel from an authentic German Hofbrau, what it's like to have Swedish meatballs from Topgolf, and how they like to cook their bulgogi and wagyu from a Korean barbecue. Another thing that I thought was imperative is we needed to bring proof outside the classroom. Far too often, our students see things from textbooks, but they're not coming to life with them. On your left is the Pentagon. Not just the outside, inside. Inside the Pentagon is my good friend, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Carlos Ruiz. And one of the things we also cover in our program with World War II, military history, and things of that nature, our students got to smell the leather from the shoes of the prisoners of the Nazis from the Holocaust Museum. On top of that, one of the things you see us do, not for a season, not for a couple months, year-round, is perform for our county, our neighboring states and our region, and hopefully soon at the national level. But we get exclusive access at Marine Corps Barracks 8th and I, where they got to have one-on-one meetings with members of the Marine Corps body bearers. They're the funeral detail, as well as the drill teams and the band. Also, you see here our students getting access to the State Department. The same limited access that one cannot get into the Pentagon, we got them speaking with that gentleman right there. He's the political officer for South America Affairs. So around the time with current events that are taking place in this world, our students had exclusive 1-to-20 ratio with political officers with South America and what was going on in the State Department. And most importantly, they saw things at the National Mall we rarely get to see, most Americans seldom get to see and experience. It was just bringing them back to words marked in marble on key leaders and futuristic aspects of what they can do and what words they will leave in marble when they leave McDowell. We also got them to the National Marine Corps Museum, where that flag on your left is a flag that was flown aboard, on top of, Mount Suribachi at Iwo Jima. And on your right was a new exhibit of Iraq and Afghanistan. And having spent a couple Christmases there myself, I gave an in-person tour. So like that, our students got to see what it was like revisiting history from a personal perspective and aspect. And lastly, one of the cornerstone events was we had some of our young Americans do a wreath-laying ceremony in representation of McDowell County at, that is on your left, George Washington and Martha's tomb in Mount Vernon. They also toured his estate and saw his deathbed. And most importantly, we had to have fun. I think we need to remember that you can learn and have fun at the same time. Here we have some students enjoying a night at Topgolf, walking the National Mall at sunset. And on your right is a PT session impromptu in Virginia snow. Ms. Whitman, can we please have those students suspended immediately? I want to remind everyone that one of the key aspects we got to do with this was enrich McDowell. On your left, in the foreground is Summer Wyatt. She's ranked 3rd in the nation, out of 3,500 ROTC rifle teams. She's one of our students at McDowell. But that's her sitting in true traffic, not just 3 cars by the Loves exit off 86. That's true DC traffic. But on your right, you also see all our Titans having a Q&A session with a member of the Secret Service. So they can learn about aspects and governmental jobs that are beyond our county, beyond what's out there, and in true aspect, enriching our community. With that, I just want to simply say, please consider reinforcing success. Please consider what our program does. Unlike other sports teams and organizations in our community, we don't perform for just 4 months out of the year. We perform all months out of the year. And that it would take more time to talk about what we do in the summer. Please don't forget, we see the teams that get the new buses and the new uniforms, but we want to remind the community that the Navy only supports half of our instructors' pay and only the equipment that is provided to the high school. What you see here with these great cultural experiences are provided off community support and the leadership and initiative of our young Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore we reinforce the success of our McDowell Titans. And with that, I digress and thank you for your time.
All right, we'll move right on into it. Mr. Sergeant Miley stepped out before we got a chance to say thank you, but grateful that he had an opportunity to speak. There you are. You took off too quick. We appreciate you and what you do for our kids every day. You guys do an excellent job up there. Thank you for Sergeant Miley. Tonight I have the pleasure of giving our superintendent remarks, and I always enjoy the opportunity to do that in a new school year. And when I say a new school year, it's 2026. So I look at it as the first half of the year is over. This is the second half of the school year. So good evening and Happy New Year. As we begin 2026, there's a lot to be excited about at McDowell County Schools. Our students will be representing us at the regional, state, and national levels in the months ahead. We have staff members being recognized nationally, and we are beginning the important work of building a timeline for our new school project. Simply put, our district has strong momentum. January is also School Board Appreciation Month. And I want to thank our board members for the time, energy, and commitment that you give to our students and community. As a small token of our appreciation, you each received a cutting board made by students in Mr. Shane Ramsey's cabinet making class. Your services matter, and we see the sacrifices you and your family make to support our schools. Folks, I'd ask you tonight, please join me in giving our Board of Education a round of applause. Thank you. Tonight we are also proud to recognize our students and our Christmas card contest winners. If you hadn't had a chance to see some of this artwork, we're going to have it here for you shortly. It's really, really good. These students did an outstanding job, and we appreciate their families being here to support them. While many of us were enjoying the holiday break, our auxiliary services team were here hard at work. Students returned to new playgrounds, fresh paint, HVAC upgrades, and building improvements across the district. Our student athletes are riding in a newly wrapped activity bus, and for the first time, all of our refrigeration units are being monitored electronically. This reflects the teamwork of our maintenance, technology, and child nutrition and transportation departments. We're also moving forward with the new school project. We will develop a detailed timeline and share with the board as well as the community in March what our goals are there with that timeline. Folks, we anticipate being able to open that school in the fall of 2029. I know that seems like a long ways away, but it'll be here before you know it. At the state level, we continue to monitor the General Assembly and the state budget. January is when we begin planning for the next school year, and that work becomes more difficult without a finalized budget. Even so, Ms. Rampey has done an excellent job keeping our district financially strong. We are working closely to prepare for the years ahead. Finally, I want to highlight something very important. Last week in the McDowell News, I shared that we are on the cusp of a record year for graduation. We are asking our community to rally behind our students and to encourage them to stay in school. We are preparing students to be enrolled, enlisted, or employed after high school, and that diploma is the foundation for all three. In December, Mr. Frank and I had the privilege of signing the diploma of a student who has earned her adult high school diploma at the age of 81 years old. Her story reminds us that education changes lives at any age, and it reminds us why this work matters. As we step into 2026, McDowell County Schools remains on solid ground because of the dedication of our students, the commitment of our staff, the support of our families, and the leadership of this board. We are not just maintaining our schools, we are moving them forward. Together, we will continue to open the doors, expand opportunities, and build a future where every child in this community can succeed. Thank you. This time I'll invite Miss Amy Daddle to the podium and we'll do some student recognitions.
Good evening, Mr. Frank, Mr. Abernathy, Dr. Gritt, members of the board, and esteemed guests. Each year, students from each school are selected to submit a Christmas card design that features their school mascot or represents their school community. One student's card is chosen from each school and submitted to the district. These selected cards are then combined into a single presentation and shared with school districts across North Carolina. Congratulations to the following students for having their artwork chosen for this honor. And so, boys and girls, when I call your name, just come on up and get your plaque from Dr. Gritt. From Eastville Global Magnet School, we have Lily Herring. From East McDowell Middle School, Bonnie Tao. From Foothills Community School, Navina Larson. Glenwood Elementary School, Hannah Carpenter. Marion Elementary School, Paisley Washburn. McDowell Academy for Innovation, Jaden Strawn. McDowell Early College, Eli Bergen. McDowell High School, Christina Cannon. Nebo Elementary School, Natalie Johnson. North Cove Elementary School, Gracie Stockton. Old Fort Elementary School, Tanner Allen. Pleasant Gardens Elementary School, Lewis Wang. Summit Academy, Brooklyn Jones. West Marion Elementary School, Harper Kelly. West McDowell Middle School, Drayden Hutchins. And moms and dads, please come up and take pictures. These boys and girls did a fantastic job. Guests, if you'll look on the screen, you can see the presentation. And this was sent out to all 115 school systems in North Carolina. Y'all can go right in the middle if you need to go take more pictures. Are you sure? All right. Yes, sir. Congratulations. certainly have some very talented students in McDowell County Schools. It is an absolute honor tonight to recognize this year's Counselor of the Year, Ms. Rachel Stewart. Ms. Stewart, come on up here in the middle. Last year, when the storm hit and we found ourselves navigating 2 schools under one roof, Ms. Stewart's kindness and understanding shone through every challenge. What could have been an overwhelming experience looked like a piece of cake, at least most days, because of her calm strength and steady presence. Ms. Stewart went above and beyond by sharing not only her workspace, but her heart. During the merging of Old Fort and PG, she opened her room and welcomed a new counselor with open arms, making what could have been a very difficult transition feel supportive and seamless. That level of generosity and professionalism speaks volumes about who she is, not just as a counselor, but as a person. Even now, Ms. Stewart continues to step up and serve wherever she's needed. She works 2 mornings each week at Old Fort, filling in during the current counselor's absence without hesitation. Her commitment to students, staff, and the counseling profession is unwavering. Ms. Stewart is a positive, purposeful, and true professional in every sense of the word. Her compassion, teamwork, and dedication embody the very best of what it means to be a school counselor. Please join me in congratulating our Counselor of the Year, Ms. Rachel Stewart. You're not done with me yet. Not you. No, I'm talking to the audience, Ms. Stewart. Each month, we take the opportunity to recognize the outstanding individuals who go above and beyond in their roles to make a difference in our community. Our Certified and Classified Employees of the Month exemplify dedication, professionalism, and a commitment to excellence. These honorees consistently demonstrate our core values, showing leadership, teamwork, and a genuine passion for supporting students, staff, and the overall mission of our district. Their hard work not only helps our schools run smoothly, but also creates a positive and inspiring environment for everyone around them. Today, we're proud to celebrate and extend our heartfelt congratulations to our Certified Employee of the Month and Classified Employee of the Month for their exceptional contributions and unwavering dedication. For our Certified Employee of the Month, I'd like to call up Ms. Tracy Widman to recognize this honoree.
Good evening. I'm so excited to be up here. It is an honor to be up here this evening and to celebrate with you Ms. Taylor Pittman, McDowell County, McDowell High School Certified Employee of the Month. And I want to tell you a little bit about Ms. Taylor. And you have to come up front for your photo so everybody can stare at you. So Taylor serves at McDowell High School in many different capacities. She does this with grace, with creativity, and a deep commitment to our students. Her schedule reflects her versatility. She is in a co-taught English class, so she co-teaches an English class. She has her own academic support class, and she also leads our yearbook. In every setting, Taylor meets students where they are and ensures they feel supported, seen, and valued. Taylor is the creative mastermind behind our outstanding yearbook, capturing the events and the hearts of our school community. She also designs McDowell High School's weekly slideshow announcements, which are displayed on our TVs throughout the building, ensuring our students and staff stay informed in a visually engaging way. In addition, Taylor is a wickedly talented staff photographer. I had a grand idea of doing a bad JCPenney's photo shoot, and Taylor was like, I got it, I'm on it. And she took bad JCPenney photos of every single staff member at McDowell High School with great joy in her heart, and they were amazing. Beyond her creative talents, Taylor is also a powerful advocate for our students. She organizes and maintains a caring closet, working tirelessly to obtain donations so she can meet her students' needs with dignity and compassion. This speaks volumes about her heart for service and her belief that students must have their basic needs met. When I ask the students to tell me something special about Ms. Pittman, their words say it best. One young man said she always puts others before herself. She's easy to talk to and she makes conversation feel natural. A young lady says she's present for what I need when I need it. They also said she's outgoing, she's kind-hearted, she's my absolute favorite, she's the best teacher I have ever had, and she is the sweetest teacher in the whole world. Students consistently describe Taylor as nurturing, positive, kind, gentle, and always happy. She has a calming presence, a soft voice, and an authenticity that makes students feel safe and cared for each and every day. Taylor Pittman embodies what it means to serve students with excellence, creativity, and heart, and we are very fortunate to have her at McDowell High School. Please join me in congratulating her.
Next up, please welcome Mr. Chad Marsh to recognize our Classified Employee of the Month.
Great job as always, Mrs. Whitman. And if you want to watch the folks get the awards, I actually like watching the families because it's nice to see Charity and everybody here had some emotion there. So a lot of pride going on what we're doing here in McDowell County Schools, and you should be proud. But I'd like to recognize Mr. Chad Owenby. Chad, if you want to come up. So we'll go off script for a moment because it'll give you some insight into exactly what Mr. Owenby does on a daily basis. I come from a world where saying it's not my job is not going to fly. And so Mr. Owenby has not said that at all. And in fact, Mr. Owenby asks, what else can I do? And how else can I help? And then where can I be best used? So that's the kind of guy Chad Owenby is. McDowell County Schools is proud to recognize Mr. Owenby as the Classified Employee of the Month for December 2025. Mr. Owenby serves as a lead electrician for McDowell County Schools Maintenance Department, and he consistently demonstrates exceptional dedication, professionalism, and a strong commitment to service. Throughout the month of December, he worked countless hours responding to a high volume of work orders, many of which extended well beyond his electrical responsibilities and included critical HVAC-related issues. His willingness to step in wherever needed ensured that school operations continued very smoothly during a demanding time of year. In addition, Chad selflessly worked throughout the Christmas and New Year's break, prioritizing and overseeing the completion of essential projects so that facilities would be safe, functional, and ready for faculty, staff, and students upon their return. His proactive approach and his tireless work ethic significantly minimize disruptions, and they reflect his deep commitment to the students and staff of McDowell County Schools. Mr. Owenby's flexibility, his expertise, and dedication exemplify the very best of our classified employees. I sincerely thank you, Chad, for your outstanding service, and I am honored to recognize you as McDowell County Schools Classified Employee of the Month for the month of December 2025.
Okay, at this time, number 9 on our agenda is report from the teacher representative, Ms. Lawing, and we're going to get it to you. Thank you.
This is the most awkward part of this is trying to get this fixed. I'm so nervous. I wasn't even this nervous my very first time. It's already going to start. Okay. Sorry. Good evening. Before I get started with tonight's Starfish recognition, Mr. Frank, would it be all right if I pointed something out I've noticed and ask you for a very, 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 it's tiny, small, simple favor? At our last meeting, you told me to stay right where I was and called Mr. Allison's family up for a picture. And that got me thinking, so I did a little investigating.
Oh, I think they need to get together for a photograph.
Miss Lawler, can you guys do
Hey Garrett, can you go back to her collage of her picture?
Remember that one though, don't you? Mm-hmm.
You and Ms. Long would come up here and get your picture made with Dr. Grid. I'd like to say something on behalf of Mr. Wheeler myself.
Miss Long, we could have the family come up and let's do a photo. Miss Long.
Oh, I was going to let them have.
You're part of this.
Come up and. We want to. Can we get a photo of you guys? Yeah.
It run.
Ms. Long, stay up there. Okay, if you would, Jimmy, come around with your whole family and you, Ms. Long, and let's get a picture.
Never going to get out of one of these. I realized, Mr. Frank, you, sir, have been the mastermind behind me being a part of the pictures the entire time. Every single one. I want you to know, I'm standing there thinking my attempt to get out of this clearly didn't work again. And I really don't need to be in this picture. I didn't get the starfish. And while it might sound like a request to everyone else, I know it's really a voluntold moment. And we've all been there. But I will say, thank you, Mr. Frank, for always making sure the moments that matter don't just happen, they're remembered. Even if it's a voluntold picture. I would apologize for blaming you this entire time, Dr. Grit, but that is so not going to happen. So maybe moving forward, Mr. Frank, you'll cut me a little break and I'll stay out of the pictures and just stick to the starfish. I'm not expecting an answer right now. I'll give you some time to truly search your pure heart, and we'll revisit this later. And with that, let's get started. In November, during Miss Helen's recognition, I gave a fair warning that I wouldn't be the only one holding back tears, and that if they did fall, they would be tears worth shedding. That same truth applies here. Not because these moments are the same, but because this one carries a meaning that's hard to put into words, because it's different from all the ones I've done before and the ones I'll do in the months ahead. Tonight, I'll refer back to a few things from my first presentation for those of you who were listening. You were not. You might remember I told you I'm not the most polished writer or speaker. Grammar, or whatever it's actually called, has never been my strongest skill. But this moment deserves honesty. And when something matters this much, I try my hardest to find the words, and I realize that even my imperfect words are worth saying. All of you know that when I'm standing up here, I'm always holding back tears, trying to keep myself together, and it's probably obvious that I'm a full-on hot mess express the entire time, so my speaking always shows up the same way. A pause, a quick sorry, and that awful throat clearing sound I make as I do my best to push through what I'm trying to say. As I shared in August, I chose to break my family cycle, choosing better, believing that the effort I make today will shape a kinder, easier tomorrow for the people I love most, so they won't have to grow up under the same hardships I did. The first time I heard each of my kids' sweet little heartbeats, and y'all know there's no sound like that, I made myself, Gray, and Ava a promise. They would never know struggle. I know now that I can't prevent every challenge, but I can make sure they never face one without someone who loves them, standing beside of them, or stepping in front of them when they need it. There's nothing stronger or scarier than a mama who's ready to stand in front. For a long time, I didn't fully understand the why behind this part of my story, but now I'm grateful for it because it shaped me. It made me the mom and the educator I am today. It didn't lead to perfection, not even close, but it led to perspective, a drive to notice, to listen, and to show up for students and for my own kids in ways I might not have understood otherwise. I'm not claiming to be the best. I'm no Miss Vicky or Nano, but it did make me better. It isn't easy being the one who carries the weight of breaking the cycle, but I can tell you it's worth it. I'm sharing this not to make tonight about me, but because it's important context for what I'm about to say. I've always known how important every role is in a school. But when your own child needs additional support, those roles hit a teacher mama's heart differently. Watching my son Gray in school has been one of the hardest parts of motherhood for me, especially as an educator. Because when your own child needs daily extra support in reading, math, and consistent speech services throughout the school year, it's hard to accept that sometimes, even with all the effort and knowledge you have to help, it still isn't enough to fix the struggle for your own child. Especially when you see how hard they're working. You realize that loving your child means celebrating every strength and every accomplishment, every IEP goal met, while still wishing some things came a little more easily for them. Gray has been in speech since he was 2 years old, and he still meets with Miss Summer at West Marion now that he's in 3rd grade. Watching him grow, find his voice, and build confidence has shown me just how meaningful this work truly is. Through every session, every practice word, and every small step forward, I've learned something important. The people who help our children find their voice don't just support students. They give families hope. Hope when progress feels slow. Hope when answers are hard to find. Hope when parents are wondering if they're doing enough. Especially for those who are trying their best to support their child. That kind of hope is priceless. When you're giving everything you have to help your child find their voice, pouring your heart into every small step forward, having someone who believes in them just as fiercely as you do becomes the difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling hopeful. It's nothing short of life-changing. If you've ever watched a child fight for a word, truly fight for it, you know there is nothing more powerful than someone who helps them find their own voice. Sorry, I went one too far. Which is why I want to recognize the incredible impact speech language pathologists have in our schools, with our students, their families, and in our community. In schools, speech teachers don't just work on sounds or words. They help students feel confident enough to raise a hand, to speak up, and to say what they've been wanting and trying to say for so long, even about things that may seem small to others but matter most to them. And for those parents, especially those trying their very best, again, that is just priceless. Oh gosh, here we go. Tonight we celebrate the sweet, one-of-a-kind Miss Vicki Frank, who has helped children across our county find their voice and has given so many families hope along the way. Lindsay and Patrick, I'm going to give you your mom's starfish keychain and a special starfish just for Sweet Navy, in case the Hot Mess Express comes through in full force and I turn into a blubbering mess and Mr. McGinnis has to finish for me. And trust me, none of us wants that to happen. He is quite the talker, and we would probably still be here at midnight at the earliest. So I promise I'm going to try really hard to hold it together and get through this entire recognition about your sweet mama. I've asked Miss Daddle to read a story many of us know well, because there's no better way to, you're going to have to come up here because you can't hear it on the recording when you're over there. I learned that with Miss Hamby. Because there's no better way to explain what your small keychain and Navy's special starfish represent.
One morning, a man was walking along a beach covered with thousands of starfish that had washed ashore during the night. Up ahead, someone was gently picking them up one by one and tossing each starfish back into the ocean. "Why are you spending so much energy on this?" the man asked. "There are too many of them to make a difference." "They'll die if they're left in the sun," the person replied without pausing. The man glanced up and down the endless shoreline. "But there are miles of beach and thousands of starfish. You can't possibly save them all. What difference could you make?" Another starfish was lifted from the sand and sent back into the waves. Smiling, the person said, "I made a difference for that one."
Ms. Daddle, thank you for saying yes to reading the starfish story tonight, which is meant just for Ms. Frank. There is no one more fitting or deserving to share it. We share this story because it reflects the way Ms. Frank showed up for children, one at a time, with patience, care, and belief. She met them where they were, understood what each child needed, and helped them move forward one word at a time, where progress can be slow but the impact lasts. Here's one of those moments shared by a former student who was lucky enough to have Miss Frank, and honestly, she was just as lucky to have him. I taught him in 8th grade at East. Because sometimes the impact of a teacher is best understood through the life of the child they helped shape. My name is Tyler Reed, and I wanted to share how Miss Frank impacted my life. I'm a former student of Glenwood Elementary School, and Miss Frank was my speech teacher. It was just the two of us, one-on-one in the classroom. And in that small classroom, she managed to make a big difference in my life. What stands out most in my memory is when we finished our lesson, she would reward me by letting me play on the computer. I'll also never forget the day Miss Frank surprised me with a drawing one of her kids made for me of my favorite movie, The Wizard of Oz. That memory stays with me because it made me feel special. It also showed me how much she thought about her students, even outside of the classroom. My family and the people who knew me saw the change in me because of her. Miss Frank didn't just help improve my speech, she helped me to become a better version of myself. The impact she made was big enough for everyone around me to see. When I learned from my parents that Miss Frank had passed away, I was shocked. Her loss was deeply felt, not only by her family and friends, but by her students and the other teachers. She not only made a big impact on my life, but the lives of so many others. I write this today as someone whose life was changed because she cared. At my 6th grade graduation, I was surprised with the Memorial Award created in Miss Frank's name. That award isn't just a recognition, but a reminder to carry forward the kindness, patience, and belief that Miss Frank showed every day. Miss Frank may no longer be with us, but the lessons she taught, the memories, and her legacy lives on. Thank you, Miss Frank, for being the amazing teacher and the person you were. You impacted my life for the better, and I'm eternally grateful. T. Reed, Glenwood Elementary, 2005 to 2012. When a former student can look back years later and still vividly remember the impact she had on their life, that tells you everything you need to know about the kind of educator and person Miss Frank was. I'd like to share one more voice now from Mary Ann Basney, who saw that impact up close and whose own path was shaped by Miss Vicki Frank. One of my high school class assignments required us to observe a teacher in an elementary school. I had the honor of observing Miss Vicki Frank. She absolutely loved her job, and I loved her students even more. I remember going into a classroom with her to watch her work with students. She beamed with excitement, and her students did too. She was a phenomenal speech pathologist. She was invested in her students' learning, loved and cared for each of them, and made sure they knew it every day. Watching Miss Frank, I knew I wanted to find a place in education that gave me that same passion and dedication for my career. If you know Mary, you know how amazing she is as her in teaching. Vicki was so much more than an educator. She was an amazing mother, wife, and friend. She loved her family fiercely. She turned simple days into days that were special and memorable. She made holidays sparkle. She planned weekend trips filled with fun, whether it was shopping a day at Dollywood, or showing up to support her children. Above all, she was a light. Her caring heart, joyful spirit, and unwavering love for her family and friends made her truly one of a kind. Miss Frank didn't just help students find their voice. She inspired future educators. She modeled what it looks like to love your family, your students, those around you, and to love this work in a way that makes our community better. She did all of these fully and faithfully. And as we talk about impact, it would be impossible not to acknowledge the role of family. This is something I keep coming back to because it's always true. We need strong men in education, but even more importantly, strong men who show up for their families, men who show up consistently, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, men who carry responsibility with humility, men who lead their families with integrity, steadiness, and purpose, men who understand that strength isn't loud or flashy, it's quiet, dependable, and present. The kind of strength that makes a family feel safe, seen, and supported every single day. The kind of men whose presence alone brings calm, whose actions speak louder than words, and whose love shows up in faithfulness, sacrifice, and showing up day after day. Because that kind of man doesn't just shape a home, he shapes generations. Mr. Frank, you have been that man. As I said, we can't prevent every challenge, but we can make sure our families never face one without someone who loves them, standing beside of them, or stepping in front of them when they need it. Mr. Frank, you have lived every one of these for your family every single day. You are a true model, not just in words, but in the way you live, showing up and leading with love, integrity, and purpose. Alongside that fierce dedication to your family, your life has also been defined by commitment to your country, the Highway Patrol, our community, and McDowell County Schools. In each of these roles, you didn't just hold a position. You showed up with steadiness, responsibility, and a willingness to do what was needed, often without recognition. You stepped forward time and time again, not because it was easy, but because it mattered, offering your time, your leadership, and your heart in service of others.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the starfish story, we talk about one person making a difference, but someone has to make it possible for that one person to keep showing up with the same joy, care, and heart. Mr. Frank, that was you. You believed in her work, you believed in her heart for children, and you stood beside of her so she could keep doing what she loved day after day, child after child. I hope these little starfish bring a smile and serve as a sweet reminder of the love she gave so freely to her students, the way she showed up, believed in them, and made them feel seen and valued. As I said earlier, if you've ever seen a child truly fight for, to find their words, you know how much courage that takes. She saw that fight every single day, and she was right there beside of them with her extraordinary heart fighting with them. Those little hearts knew that she loved them, and she was standing beside of them patiently and faithfully, helping them find their words until others could hear their voices too. Moments like these remind us that the impact of people in our schools lasts. I'll be honest, I've had my list of recognitions planned out since the summer, but this one felt different. Month after month, I came back to her name, but the timing never felt right. I do have a general plan for these recognitions. I always trust what feels right, what will mean the most. And when this one felt right, I knew it, just like all the others. I'm thankful I trusted that feeling and didn't force it, because I don't think this moment would be what it is tonight if I had. And that's exactly how 2026 needs to begin, with a sweet reminder that Miss Frank's heart still leads the way. She noticed the children who needed a little more time, a little more patience, and a little more encouragement. She didn't rush them. She didn't lower expectations. She stayed steady, even when the progress came in small pieces that were easy to miss. While others heard silence, she heard a child still trying. They heard delays in diagnosis. She heard a voice asking not to be skipped. Everyone else heard broken words. She heard meaning fighting to get out. In a room full of experts measuring what was missing, she listened for what mattered, what still mattered. She believed in children and gave parents confidence that their child mattered, not someday, but right then. That was Miss Frank, and the way she showed up for kids is something this school system and our community will always need. This is what changes lives. That's the kind of educator we should all aspire to be, and the kind I try to be. But as you can see from this slide, I'm more of a Miss Trunchbull, while she'll always be a Miss Honey. I have a long road ahead of me, but remember, your speed doesn't matter. Forward is forward. Alex Morgan also attended Glenwood. She was one of my first year kids. If you don't know, there was like a TikTok trend where you talk about your teacher that had the greatest impact, and she was your Miss Honey. So I sent it to her and Katie Edwards, and I said, you don't have to make one, I already know. And she called me Miss Trunchbull. Yeah. So Miss Vicki Frank was one of a kind. And the way you have shown up for your family, our country, and our community reflects a strength and commitment that is one of a kind as well, Mr. Frank. You are one of a kind. Thank you for the steadiness and care you show to everyone. We are lucky to know you, to learn from your example, and our community is stronger because of you and your leadership, just as it is stronger because of Miss Frank and the love she gave so freely. Thank you.
Mr. Frank, I think we're going to have a picture. We'll come on.
Oh, come on. Mr. Jimmy Jim James Allison, you
We
saw
need
that
some
up there, right?
family
What?
members to come up and join them.
Come on, Mr. Frank. Now you've just got to be in it, sir. Come on. Thank you so much. I didn't do anything. You're the one that makes the impact. I just personalized it. Where do you want me to do? I'll go over here. Where do I need to go? I'll stand next to you.
Suzanne, she's more of a Clemson fan than you.
No. Miss Rampy, I'll see you in just a minute.
Thank you so much. Pat. This time, item number 10 on the agenda is request to address the board. And we do have a request, Mrs. Evans. And you'll come up to the microphone so we can hear you well. And I've got some things I got to tell you. Mrs. Evans, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to allow you to speak from the board, so I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make motion. Speak.
Does that mean I can speak?
Hold on just a minute. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Baker and a second by Mr. Shuford to allow Ms. Evans to speak. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is unanimous. And what I want to do is read you some of the ground rules, ma'am. And public comment is a time for the board to hear from folks regarding issues related to the McDowell County School District. We ask that folks be mindful that we encourage families of small children to attend our meetings and watch our meetings online. We respect the right of speakers to give us their viewpoint on any issues related to the schools. However, we do balance those rights with the rights of families of young children when it comes to public comment. We ask that speakers make their points without making explicit comments. It is not appropriate or permissible for teachers in our schools to read explicit material to young children, and doing so in public comment is not appropriate either. In addition to public comment, the public is welcome to send the board emails through the superintendent. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes, and Mrs. Daddle is the official timekeeper. And at this time, your time begins, and we'll be receptive to anything you have to say, ma'am.
Thank you for entertaining my request. I have no ill feelings or ill will. I had something wrote up, but after what I just witnessed, it really is not the good night for me to be here. But we, as a district, as a school system, as a bunch of people, need to readdress the bullying, I guess the policy on bullying and how it's being dealt with in our schools within, I mean, we're better human beings than this, and that continues. And the kids that are doing the bullying are not being addressed fairly. They're screaming for help, and for some reason, we're really not giving them the help they need, so it continues. I would like to have the opportunity at some point to help address this issue. And, you know, as being a part of somebody's child who was bullied, I don't ever want another parent or human being to know what it feels like to have the sheriff's office knock on the door and tell you that your daughter is sending out emails that she wants to kill herself, or have your daughter or child come home and say, the kids at school told me to go home and kill myself. That would make things better. We got to do something better. Since we all know it, we all, you know, are aware of it. That makes us all responsible, and I really hope we can get together. I will take this as far as I've got to, because I know that, you know, everybody's hands tied. It's not something you can just go in and poof, it's changed. I realize that, but realize I'm not going to stop. I'm trying to climb this ladder of authority the best I can and negotiate it. I don't plan on stopping. If I have to go all the way to the state, that's where I'm going to see that, not just for my child. This is for every child. Because if I do something and just my child benefits, then it's for nothing. It disappears. This shouldn't disappear. And it should be more on our agenda to do things to make things better for the kids. I'm listening to this stuff, and I know it's there, and I know there's hearts there, but I also know we have a little ways to go before we can all meet up and do the right thing. And that's pretty much all. If, you know, thank you very much for entertaining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evans, and just want to do a quick follow-up. Ma'am, we appreciate your concern and what you brought to the board tonight. And certainly one of those things that we would like to invite you to be part of our committee meeting on our policy and to look at our bullying policy and see if there's a way that you can help us with anything within that policy. I think that's important that you sit down with us and we go over that policy together. I've listened to you. We've had several phone conversations. I know a couple of our principals in the room have as well, and we want to work with you. And I'm sorry that you got that knock on your door, and our heart goes out to you.
God sending somebody a message, and maybe it was me. But I also would like, could you please call me at some other time?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 11 on the agenda, unfinished business, and our first person financial update is Mrs. Rampy.
I do not have a lengthy update tonight, but Mr. Schufer and I have discussed we're going to have a finance committee towards the end of the month to discuss several things, and that's what my update will be, anything that's relevant to that for our next meeting. I didn't see it, sorry. The audit report will be on our next committee meeting as well. We'll be discussing the budget for next year and also the capital budget for both this year and next year. Wanted to give you a quick update on the financial summary where we are. We're halfway through the year, but the way the school system works, you're halfway through the year on some people's salaries, but for your non-certified salaries, they actually have 6 months left. So we're right on track, around 47% of total expenditures for the year. Our budget is $79 million, and we have spent right at $34 million. So we are right on track for where we have budgeted for the year. For the audit, if you remember from last month, the LGC and the federal government had extended that deadline to December 31st. Generally, it's always October 31st, but there was a federal delay for the federal compliance this year, and so we did submit that before the December 31st deadline. And we are now waiting on the LGC to return that back to us. Until then, we cannot give an official report on the audit report, but it was a very positive audit report. We'll go over that with the Finance Committee as well and bring a more detailed report back to you and go over it in more detail with the Finance Committee, but it was very positive. At this time, we did not have any findings, so we're very pleased with that. One other thing we wanted to mention, because there's a lot of talk about capital lately, we've got the new grant with the school. We have a lot of these new capital grants and that we've been given for some of these projects that we'll be talking about soon, is where we're at on our capital funding. As you know, capital funding is totally separate than our regular funding. We can only spend this on either new construction or repairs and maintenance for our current facilities. So you can see there, I won't go through the projection till 2041, but you can see the projection that we have there. That reserve for future projects, we just started that a couple years ago, trying to reserve some funds there for any of these large expenses. And, you know, our match for the large grant that we got for the new school, that's where that will come from, or any other large projects. You can see our debt payments there and our projected balances. For this year, we're looking to end the balance with about $15 million. That's with $3 million in that reserved project budget. You'll see 2027, we will add another $1 million to that, so then that would be $4 million. That's something that the Finance Committee will also talk about. We may go ahead and plug in what we know is going to be part of our match there, and we'll have some discussions on how we want to fund the match. So that'll be more detailed conversations as well. But that's where we are on our capital funding. The projects that we've talked about a couple different times, including the one that is going to be talked about after me, is actually a grant. It's not actually coming out of our sales tax or any of our estate money. It's actually a grant from the state that we got specifically for that project, for the Helene project. Any questions on that?
Ms. Shrimpy, if I may just take a moment of privilege here. Folks, board members, you may know this, but I do want to say this out loud. This is something that Ms. Rampy does for our board and for us internally. However, Chris Campbell now uses this in his training for how to model what to do for districts. So I do want to point that out, the work that you've done Ms. Rampy, and just to say that the being forward-thinking is what we're really trying to do in this district, and Suzanne leads the way on that for us, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Up next, we've got Mr. Chad Marsh, and he'll be giving us a facilities update. You heard him talking about those folks working over the Christmas break. There was a lot of work that took place, and I think you may have a few shining spots for us, Mr. Marsh, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to come before the board. First of all, it's been almost a year since y'all put up with me, so just want to say I appreciate that. The 15th will be a year, so I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve and to be able to serve here at home. It's very special to be able to serve at home, so thank you for the opportunity. I want to talk about my directorate, in particular, transportation. Mr. Thomas's staff been very busy. I reported to the board that we had received 9 buses before those buses had been sent back for warranty issues, along with our new activity bus that still hasn't made it to the fleet because they had some warranty issues. All the warranty items have been resolved, and those 5 buses are at the garage now. They will undergo our inspection process, and then they will be inserted into our existing fleet. So very happy about that. Mr. Berryhill, who works quietly and tirelessly, and him and his staff continue to work very hard. And you see, Dr. Gritt talked a little bit about earlier about some issues and some things we've had going on lately, but our relationship with our law enforcement partners is successful in large part because of our readiness. In other words, our camera systems support their ability to be able to have facial recognition and other things, and that's very important. So Mr. Berryhill and his staff are the ones doing that, so we appreciate his hard work. Mr. Haynes and his nutrition staff continue to pump out thousands of meals each week, and National Breakfast Week, School Breakfast Week will be coming up in March. He wanted me to mention that to you tonight. So the 2nd of the 6th through March, I would love to see any board member who has an opportunity to pop in for breakfast with the kiddos. I'm sure they'd appreciate that, so I invite you for that, the 2nd through the 6th of March. Athletics, and I apologize for the mint. My throat's bothering me a little bit. Athletics, our winter sports are well underway. If you haven't had a chance to pop in and take a look at some of our teams, they play in this week. In particular, high school, it has 2 home games this week, Tuesday and Friday. So you can swing by and check out them up in MHS. I mentioned earlier about transportation, and it was also brought up, I think Dr. Gritt mentioned in his remarks, a freshly wrapped activity bus was delivered to the high school athletics department this week. Very happy faces, and you're going to see some pictures here momentarily. And some new wayfinding signage was also installed at the high school. There was some concerns from some folks who had come to our gymnasium before and said, we don't know where to go. Well, for those of us who have played, followed kids around or just played ball, really the only way you do it is you drive to your GPS location that says you're at the school, and you sit in the parking lot and you pray somebody else gets there after you and walks towards a building, and you just kind of, like a little duck, run behind them and go in wherever they go in, right? We can do better than that. And we are doing better than that, and there's some wayfinding sign now at the high school leading from the parking lot into the building. So we're real happy about that as well. Mr. Vaughn, who was here earlier, who left, was supporting Mr. Owenby. Him and his staff continue to work at a feverish pace. The amount of work orders that they have answered in the last 9 months that he's been here, but in the 12 months that I've been here, has been staggering. And I'm very proud of their efforts to improve safety and overall self-performance. We had the second of our individual employees just this past month who got their plumbing certification through the state of North Carolina. So now not only do we have licensed electricians, but we also had licensed plumbers. And we have HVAC technicians on board. So our ability to be able to self-perform is huge. It's a big deal, and it comes at a cost saving to our citizens here in the county, and that's very important. So I'm very proud of that effort. I was asked recently, and so I wanted to describe it as simply as I could about we were doing some installation over at Marion Elementary, and I was asked, you guys just put a brand new air handler in there, Chad. Why were we having problems with the compressor there? So I wanted to explain it as very simple as I can. So we talk about AI, right? Everybody's got a cell phone. So the next time, and if you're interested in this at all, just give it a shot. If not, you can take my word for it, but you can ask AI very simply. Just ask them, what happens to a remotely controlled valve when you manually manipulate it. And if you ask AI that, it's going to come up with this big, long description. It's going to show you some pictures. And what it's going to tell you is that a remotely controlled valve, if I go over manipulate it in between the next time it's programmed to move, it'll throw it out of calibration. And we have a number of valves in our system that control our heating and air. And some of these, in particular one large valve called a mixing valve, controls a lot of water that pushes into a compressor. And if it goes to it too hot, it kicks the compressor off, which means that you're sitting in your classroom and there's cold air blowing instead of warm air when it's 25 degrees outside. And I tell you that to say that we're working hard. We have some issues with not necessarily on the mechanical side, but now on our electronic side that interface and give us the ability to be able to do what we want to do, which is from the comfort of our own home on a Sunday evening, be able to turn a system on so that when the babies get there in the morning or before they get there in the morning, the system's nice and warm and the classrooms are toasty. So we're working through those abilities right now. And we're trying to make sure that we individually educate our teachers because they just want to know, why is it like this, Chad? So every teacher that I have sat and down with and spoken to that way has said, thank you. First time I've ever been told that. It makes complete sense now. I understand that. So we're trying to work through these little hiccups, but we as a district are getting better, and we will continue to do so. On that note, our capital projects are doing wonderfully. And again, I just want to continue to thank the board for the support that we have there. As you well know, we're into our second HVAC capital project of $250,000, and the expenditures will continue to go through. Mrs. Rampy keeps us honest on the process, but for the first project that you had, there are only 2 items that remain. During the Christmas break, we craned a 10-ton HVAC unit on top of Nebo Elementary, and that is going to be worked in over spring break and set. And then the second piece was your cooler tower over at Eastfield Global Magnet School, and then that will also be set here in the next coming weeks. So those were very large ticket items that needed to have some breaks there so before they could be able to install them. We're working through those. Again, as I mentioned, for our second HVAC project, we have hit the ground running there, and we have been using that money to pay for boiler inspections that have been completed, and we're finishing up those discrepancies now. As I mentioned earlier about the compressor and air handler at Marion Elementary, we've also installed 2 new condensate pumps at McDowell High School that will give us redundancy, and this is a huge piece, so that when those pumps fail, and pumps are designed to fail, they will fail. Once they fail, Mrs. Whitman's school won't be hot or cold because of the failure of that. We'll simply be able to manually and or remotely operate a valve that will turn on a brand new set of pumps, and then that system will continue to operate. So this is a huge, huge step into being able to remain efficient. Finally, we've also replaced a fuel pump at Mr. Wheeler's school. Then we realized that after replacing the pump and starting the system, we need a new control board. So that new control board also has to be replaced, and so we're working to get those online within the next upcoming weeks. Your last capital project, and again, I'll show some more pictures, some pictures here, is nearly complete. The drainage work at Old Fort Elementary School is completed. The grass was starting to grow before we had a little cold spell. Sidewalk, steps, ramps, and brand new railing improvements have all been completed at Marion, Nebo, and Glenwood. And the drainage, sidewalk, and curb improvements are ongoing at East Middle. The drainage problem that we fixed there had been going on historically for decades, and so we're very happy to be able to knock that out. Finally, the new school project, obviously we know we were being awarded that, but the process now, it's going to seem like it's slow, but there is a process that's going to have to be put into place. The next step for us is to be able to present a calendar to the Building and Grounds Committee that's at some point will be shared with the board to talk about the next steps. So we're working with the executive cabinet now, and then that'll be shared with them and then pushed on. So there are a series of steps that will get us to where we hope to be. It's not necessarily a plan. Hope is not a plan, but where we expect to be this time next year, which is bidding on a project. And you'll get to hear from Mr. Patrick McMurray with Holland and Hamrick about that shortly. Before I bring Mr. McMurray up, can we show some pictures, please, Garrett? The superintendent talked about playgrounds earlier, so this is a beautiful playground. Again, these playgrounds, we received a grant. We received a 50% match grant from Cunningham Recreation to be able to do these, and so we had 2 of them. This is at the front entrance at Glenwood. Next slide. This is a little closer up. You can see New play surfaces, new border, and a new playground. And I'm sure Miss Ray can vouch for us. Baby's enjoying that, Miss Ray? Okay. Next slide. This is at Mr. Wheeler's school. This is at Pleasant Gardens in the fenced-in area in the back of the school near where the buses drop off. And see, we do actually listen to teachers and folks around the community when they ask us. We match colors there. So you see this is the black and red for Pleasant Gardens, and the other one was the maroon and yellow of the Glenwood Dragons. Next slide. This is some work that was done at Mrs. Ray's school. These are step edges that were put on. These are new concrete steps with stepping edges. Next slide. This is another picture of Mr. Wheeler's playground there. We've got the church in the background to kind of give you an idea of where that's at in that fencing area in the back. Next slide. This is at Nebo. This was an extensive amount of concrete work that was done here. Was very happy with the process. This was Wilkie Construction did this. Man, did a good job. As you can steps on the right up against the school, the ramp out front, and it goes all the way up to the back of the area there, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Would you agree, Mrs. Bagwell? Happy with that product? Next slide. This is one of the set of pumps that I spoke about so this is in the boiler room adjacent to the 9th grade academy at Mrs. Whitman's school. And so again, what's the process here? They come in, they pour in the pad, they install the pumps, and then they actually weld in the piping into the existing system next to a changeover valve. So again, all we got to do, prime the pump, start the pump, switch a valve, and presto magic, we have hot or cold depending on which side. Again, there's one on the cold side and one on the hot side. Next slide. This was a unit, so somebody's like, when you go get your oil change, sometimes they'll show you the dirty air filter, look at, well, this was the bad unit, right? So you don't think there's any quick change here. This was at Marion Elementary School. This was the air handler that failed at the end of the summer. And we waited again. I told you guys before that there's some of these long lead time part items were not commercial off the shelf and readily available, and so we had to wait to be able to get this done. We're happy to work with local contractor to get this done. Next slide. And there, the brand new shiny one is installed into place. Classroom 141, I believe. No, what is it? 104. Clearly, I need. Got a compressor. Thank you, ma'am, for keeping me straight. We communicate with our principals and appreciate them. Again, this was over the break, so no education was disrupted, at least during the installation. Next slide. This is our brand new wrapped bus. Now, be clear, full transparency. This is not a new bus. I was cautioned that if I were to have taken that brand new activity bus that we got, right, that again hadn't even made it to the fleet yet. But if I'd have taken that one and wrapped it and taken it away from the ability for my elementary schools to be able to use it, I would have had a mutiny on my hands, and so we didn't do that. This was a newer bus. You can see the luggage racks on the bottom. It does have air conditioning and heat, and this was towards the end of its warranty time, but this is a newer bus. Next slide. Smiling faces appreciate. Coach Cash had, I think, 5 coaches come out. The kids, one of the things I was telling my niece about, I was really touched by one of the young ladies said, Mr. Marsh. And I spun around and she said, thank you. And I said, you're welcome. She said, no, seriously, thank you for putting us on here. And I was like, looked at her and she could tell I was trying to figure out who's us. And she said, cheerleaders. We never get put on anything, Mr. Marsh. Thank you for making us feel like we're part of something, too. So you can see the shadows of the cheerleaders there. The girls got their hands up and their pom-poms. And so that kind of made it all worth it right there. So I was touched by that, and I really appreciated that. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. That's it? Okay. So barring any questions, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring up Mr. McMurray, stand behind him, and let him discuss the process and the project for West McDowell Middle School, McDowell High School grant that Mrs. Rampy referenced.
Good evening. Thank you all for the time again. So this past Thursday, we opened bids for the West McDowell and McDowell High School Hurricane Helene Relief Drainage Project, and it's a mouthful, yeah. But good problem. It came in under budget. So we had 10 alternates in there. 7 were deduct alternates in case that price was a little high. Give you control to rein some of that back in. And then there were 3 add alternates. I don't think there would be any reason to take a deduct alternate at this point, and we could certainly look at those 3 add alternates. And actually have been talking to Mr. Marsh and the civil engineer as well, since we know that we have some additional funds there that we're looking at a plan to get a couple more things down there in the lower area. Again, this project is to bring the lower rec field area, the middle school baseball field, up out of the floodplain, and to also address drainage issues all the way up to the 9th grade academy and a little bit above there. Control all that water in the event, of a rainstorm or something as it comes down the hill, to control it, slow it down, and get it into the waterways efficiently. We do have that alternate plan that we could show you. Again, this was not bid on the other day, but I say all that to say we do have some control there when talking to the low bidder. So the low bidder was DDI of Hickory. DDI is a Dustin Davis. He's the president and owner of the company. He used to be with David E. Looper and Company out of Hickory. Has done a lot of big projects with Looper, and went on his own a few years back, and has done some work with Lenore Ryan University, Hickory Public Schools, the town of Hildebrand. Just finished up a civil project with Hildebrand that included a stage area, splash pad. It's a parks project. So we're excited to be working with them. We had 4 bidders, and like I said, that's it doesn't happen all the time, but it's a good problem to have when you open up bids and you're under that threshold. So if anybody has any questions while we wait on that slide.
How much were the bids under, roughly?
Yeah, so we had 4, and DDI came in at $3,131,405. That's base bid, and again, those 7 deduct alternates are in that base bid. With the 3 additional alternates, it'd be $3,331,405, and so that's roughly $400,000 under budget.
Congratulations.
Okay, so here's the slide.
So while Patrick's walking up there, I'll just let you know part of it, and you'll have to help me a little bit here. And Mr. Marsh, if you will help me, there's the few of the add-ons. One of them was Mr. Suttles had asked about the possibility of moving the softball field from West McDowell Middle School, where the softball field is now. Patrick, if you can kind of point to that area where it is, it's right in that area. And Garrett, if you'll scroll down for us. You can see one of the questions Mr. Suttles has. We tricked you, Patrick. We're moving it on you now. When we see how good you are here. But that was one of the things, Mr. Suttles. The other 2 additions were cutting down some timber by the softball field. And help me, Mr. Marsh. What was the other addition?
There were 2, sir. One was to remove the dead brush on softball, and the other was to pressure wash the existing handrails and ramp that goes from the parking lot at West Middle down to the existing softball field, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So this is the latest sketch. Once we did open bids and we started looking at the 10th alternate of moving the middle school softball field down to the lower area, and it expanded this parking lot. Tweak that to where the batter's not looking into the sun. We still have the pickleball courts. We have, there are funds available to do that, and then the rec fields, and of course bring all this area up out of the floodplain to do all the 4 other parking lots, the entryway. That's all there. So this was not bid on bid day, but it's something that we're looking at because we did have that alternate 10, so it should be very comparable.
One thing that the public might need to know is those additional funds has to be spent on this project, correct?
That's right, sir. So, thank you, Mr. Barksdale. So we did have a discussion with the board's attorney, and we talked about how to properly dispose, and so those items will be contained in the contingency monies for this project. There is no other requirement to rebid. So we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be as far as stewards of the taxpayers' dollars here. One of the things, Mr. Suttles, I'll speak directly to you on this, sir. The question was about moving the pickleball courts. When we dove into looking at the reality of moving those pickleball courts, and we met with West McDowell Middle School staff and literally asked them what they'd like to see, one of the things that we kept coming back to was access. And when my safety head was kind of trying to get wrapped around who's going to be able to go past that gatehouse after hours, because we don't have 24-hour surveillance. We don't have, and you're kind of away from an area that's more visible along the road. It just made sense to keep it on that location. And then when we go from the true and spirit of intent of the money that we're receiving in this grant, having a parking lot and a paved service there actually helps us to curb and turn the water in a direction that we want to, which was the whole premise of getting the grant anyway, raising the area out of the floodplain to be able to turn that water back to the ditch line safely. That will allow us to do that in both cases. So we put some time into this. I know you appreciate it, but we put some time into it to try to take a look at where it made sense to put that ball field. And we feel like if it's going to go there, this makes the best sense.
I appreciate that. A couple things I would lay out there to think about is that if there's going to be public access to these pickleball courts, be prepared to answer the question of why we don't open up the McDowell High tennis courts or the McDowell High track, because that's always been a problem in the past.
Yes, sir.
So
I think I'm ready to.
You ready to do that? And,
yeah.
The second thing is I would tweak the softball field just a little bit, just because the softball foul balls, the majority of the foul balls on the softball field go straight back towards the highway. No matter what you put over the field, they could hinder the catcher or be in fair territory. You still can't stop those. So you may need to turn it just slightly, because they will end up on 70 out there.
We'll take a look. I appreciate it. We looked at NCHSA requirements for width and length.
Yeah.
Make sure we got backstops and foul pole distances. There's a minimum of 185 feet, 43 feet, 60 feet, and, backstop, all the things. And so when we looked at, Chad getting up there trying to hit a fastball, which is not going to happen anyway, he's going to have a whole lot harder time looking into the sun. And so the sun comes from the right field side, right? It comes from the west end of 40. Rises and east sits in the west. And so orienting it, being able to get it into that area, that really was one of the fewest options that we had to be able to do that. Now, what the other side of that is topography impacts a lot of that, right? So the sun might rise in the east and set in the west, but it still gets inhibited by a big old mountain full of laurel, right? And so some of that's going to be blocked anyway. But we can definitely look at that.
I wouldn't worry about that, because most of them are going to be night games, going into the night. Very few on Saturday. But I definitely would work maybe if you don't mind. We turn the backstop here, have the backstop here, kind of positioned the same way this one was. But have it here, and that way all your foul balls, if you on the bank, are easy to recover. Like I said, this is the area that's going to have foul balls in it, where you really have to hit a home run. Hopefully our girls hit lots of home runs and hit cars. I like to hit cars when I played against West.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot more go out with backstops facing 70 than your home run.
Yeah, absolutely something we can look at and take a look at and try to get it right.
But thank you for listening and doing that.
Real quick, where's
No
the
problem.
soil being hauled in from?
Yes, sir. So we're bringing it in from the property the board just purchased over off of Ridge Road and Highway 70. The approximately 20,000 cubic yards is going to be taken down from the existing soil that's on the northwest side of the property.
You know, just to add on to that too, Mr. Marsh, you know, we talk about a contingency and having some money there. Let's not forget we're moving a lot of dirt, and let's hope that there's no rock there, because that definitely starts to cut into that contingency pretty fast.
That's right, sir. Thank you for bringing that up. So items 1 through 7 meet the spirit and intent of what we got the money for. We did 10 because it's what I told you I'd do, Mr. Suttles. And so the truth of the matter is that as we begin to press through the project, we'll be continuing to work with Building and Grounds and making sure that we're talking to you about how the project goes and briefing the board certainly along the way. But we'll make you aware of any issues we have because we know we're going to hit rock. The question is how much dirt can we get out of there before we hit rock.
Patrick, thank you so much for working on this. Appreciate that.
Mr. Marsh, could you, we did have a practice field down there. Could you just briefly, because I know probably people will be asking about where we're going to move the practice field.
Okay, yes, sir. Can you go back, Garrett, can you just kind of slide the whole thing up and then move to I guess it'd be your right? Yeah. So, again, spoke with the athletic director a couple times about the project, Coach Caparosa, and what we talked about was one of the things that you see if you go by there, like right now, you'll see the fence laid down on the existing softball field. So there's some soccer practice going on. So the intent is to lay in the entirety of the soccer field as soon as you come down the ramp. So you see the zigzag line right there above where he just blocked out. You'll walk down that ramp, and then there will be the field there. And then on the northern end, which is the farther end, as the field gets narrow, that's where you'll have the practice football field. There's an existing storage building there now, and so that will be on the north side of any goals. And so you'll be able to walk and chew gum. You'll be able to do a soccer game and a football practice at the same time. Somebody asked me about whistles. Said, "Oh, are you concerned about whistles?" No, I'm not. Because if you go to any modern-day ball game, 7-on-7, or a facility like go to Asheville to watch them play 7 basketball games at once, these kids can play a game and know what whistle's theirs. They know that that's my whistle, that guy's talking to me, or that gal's talking to me. So I'm not worried about whistle overlap or anything like that. They can do it. They're accustomed to it. They're not like it was when I was there. You can only do one thing at a time. They're way smarter than us, so they can do it. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Patrick, anything you want to add? Sir, if there's not any other questions, I would, based on the brief from Mr. McMurray and the questions we've answered tonight, I'd like to request board action, sir, so we can proceed.
I would certainly recommend that we accept that bid, Mr. Marsh.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the project and bid that Mr. McMurray and Mr. Marsh have explained to us tonight, the West McDowell Middle School, McDowell High School, Helene Erosion Grant Project. And I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make that motion. We accept the bid.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Suttles, and we have a second by Mr. Allison. Is there any further discussion on the motion to accept the West McDowell Middle School, High School, Helene Erosion Grant Project? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is unanimous. Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Frank,
Go ahead.
if I may just take a point of privilege, it is important that we identify the amount of what we've accepted within that bid. So I know we've got some language that reflects that, Mr. Marsh.
We do, sir, and at a minimum, based on what we've discussed with our attorney and with Mr. McMurray, and apologize to make this clear, we need to accept the bid from the contractor who was the low bid.
So I'll make the motion. We accept the bid from DDI, which was the
DDI of Hickory is the low bid. Yes, sir.
Yep.
What about Mr. Marsh? You said there were additional things.
Well, that was the primary additional, and then we need to basically them as the contractor,
Okay.
and accept their bid.
Okay.
So I don't know that we have to outline the bid. Sir, do you recommend that we outline the bid or
The base
the
amount,
base?
I think is what we.
The base number, and you have that, Patrick?
I would enter the 4 bids into the minutes. And
I'm sorry, sir?
I would enter all 4 bids into the minutes, and then have the motion be to accept the low bid.
Yes, sir, we're happy to do that. We're happy to do that. You have all 4 of them? Sure.
Okay, let's regroup and rethink then. Will you rescind your motion?
Yes, I'll rescind it.
Will you rescind your second? Okay, redo the whole thing.
Okay. So go ahead and Pat, well, I'll let Mr. McGuire read the bid, sir, straight off the
Sure.
bid tabulation sheet as our architect. Yeah, just do the base. Yeah, I'll first set.
Okay. So DDI of Hickory had a base bid of $3,120,000. England Builders had a base bid of $3,817,000. Wilkie Construction Company had a base bid of $3,598,000. And Tanaka had a base bid of $4,820,000.
Okay, 1 second. Ms. Smith, are you good?
We've got them.
Okay.
So, sir, now that we have the formal record of the bids, it'd be my request for board action based on the information that the board's received tonight so that we may proceed.
Okay.
So I'll make,
Low bid.
yeah, I'll make the motion, we accept the low bid from DDI.
Okay. All right, we have the motion from Mr. Suttles. We have the second by Mr. Allison. Is there any further discussion on the bidding for the grant or the motion at hand, which is to accept the low bid? Okay, with all those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is unanimous.
Thank you.
Also,
Yeah,
I'd
good
like to
job.
announce that Building and Grounds, we will need to have a meeting before the February board meeting to discuss some of the additional things.
Yes, sir.
So I'll be getting in touch with you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frank. I think under new business, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. One question. Okay. Should we wait for the Okay. Under new business, the 2026 board committee list, there's action requested on that. Are there any questions? I made sure I contacted everybody before we made the list, basically the same as last year. Does anybody have any questions or not sure of what your positions are on all of the list? And also I want you to know that we don't have them all listed on our board reports, the people that are chairman, but we have others like the athletic Hall of Fame board and we have health board and several, but all those positions on them are taken care of. And if they're same as last year, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee list as it's done.
I'll make a motion to accept the board committee as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Shuford. We have a second by Mr. Barksdale. Is there any further discussion on the motion on the board committee list? With those, no further questions, I'll entertain a vote at this time. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that's an 8 vote. Okay. Dr. Gritt, we have board professional development training. I'm going to let you explain this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Frank. So one of the things that the board does quite frequently is they do board trainings. We do quite a bit of training as a district, and we've not been getting credit for it. So we've contacted North Carolina School Boards Association, and asked them what we would need to do in order to get credit. And really what you need to do is the chair needs to approve, you need to bring it before the chair and approve it. So in being creative and thinking a little bit about outside of the box, the new year, January, starts a new board year. So what we thought we would do is just go ahead and improve any of the stuff that we do now, so we don't have to keep bringing it back before the board and asking for approval every time. So we prepared a motion for you, Mr. Frank, to be able to share that with the board, so that any trainings that we do along the way could then be approved. And I'm hoping, now I've been wrong before, but I'm hoping that the School Boards Association would accept that, and we're going to turn it in every time we do it until they tell us not to.
So Mr. Frank delegated a motion for me to make, which would be to approve the ongoing professional development training for the members of the Board of Education as deemed appropriate by the chairman of the board on an annual basis. And that's a motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Abernathy and a second by Mr. Shuford. Is there any further discussion on this? Or should we wait till the gentleman that we really, here he comes. We'll wait till he gets back.
You missed it. You missed it.
Mr. Allison, we've got a motion to approve the board professional development training, and what we're going to do in the Reader's Digest condensed version is if we take training here at the board, we're going to get credit for it without having to go everywhere else. But the ones we do here, we're going to try to get credit for it if the North Carolina School Boards Association will allow us to.
I'll second that.
Well, we're just to the voting stage, so all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All right, that's unanimous, 9 votes. Okay, Mr. Abernathy, the America 250.
Okay, I'll be brief. July 4th of 2026 is the 250th celebration of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration, and I didn't go back and study carefully, so I may be corrected, but it was a committee appointed, and the committee worked on the draft document, largely written by Thomas Jefferson. And it basically, the Revolutionary War was underway, and the at the convention there was the declaration that we would be a free nation. It would be again, if I'm correct, 1789 when the current Constitution that we operate under was approved. So there was a different form of government for a short period. It's extremely important. The freedom that we enjoy and have been working towards and growing towards. The Constitution, which would be approved later, which was the first time in history that citizens organized and determined their own system of government, and we should celebrate it and be very, very pleased with it. So there are activities taking place in the McDowell community across the state and across the nation to celebrate this, and we would hope that the public school system would be part of that. One more sentence. At a minimum, it would be, I think, appropriate for students to hear the Declaration and have some discussion of it and some knowledge of what's taking place. And I'm confident that is in fact happening. And I want to thank Derek McGinnis for kind of helping with some of the thoughts on this as well. So that's it.
Okay. Well, any other board members, anything they'd like to add to this? Well, Mr. Abernathy, we're fortunate that we've got our principals here with us tonight, and certainly one of the things that we'll talk about in our principals meeting, but I couldn't agree more. I think it's something that we do need to have within our schools as far as an activity or a day planned. You know, one of the things when we talked about this earlier is we're not in school on July 4th, and I know that. Even Eastfield, I don't think you guys are in school on July 4th, but it is important that we recognize this. So principals will talk about whether we want to pick a day or whether we want to pick the days that work with your school, but some way to make sure that we recognize the America 250 this year for our students. I think we owe that to them. Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, we'll take reports from board members, board reports from curriculum and instruction. Mr. Suttles, do you have anything?
For curriculum, we don't have a whole lot. Just know that I'll be reaching out to you. We're going to have a meeting at the end of January or 1st of February to talk about some new ideas with Ms. Hamby and Ms. Baker. And so just be aware that I'll probably reach out to you.
Okay, sir. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Barksdale, you already announced you're going to have them.
Yes, I believe we've taken care of it.
Okay. Mr. Shuford, finance, we understand you guys are getting ready to gear up.
Well, we've got a, as Ms. Ramp mentioned during her report, we've got a meeting coming up. But again, as Dr. Gritz so ably stated, it's always great to have all that information that when we have to make decisions, sometimes hard ones. And thank you so much for what you do, Ms. Ramp.
Mr. Shuford, if you would, in your finance committee, contact those members of the committee before you actually meet and see if any of them have any things they'd like to discuss in that meeting as well.
Yes, sir, we'll do that.
If you, I'd appreciate that if you
Yes,
do
sir.
that, because I know there's some that have questions. Okay. Ms. Helms, on your policy committee, do you have anything?
Nothing at this time. I'm sure we'll be touching base very soon to get something scheduled to start to work for.
Okay, and remember,
And we will be reaching
Ms.
out to
Evans,
her
yeah,
as
okay,
well.
very
Yes.
good. We did talk about, and you may discuss this a little bit, we had talked about looking at our policy on the letters or whatever in files. That may be something we've talked about you may want to look at, but you figure that out.
Okay.
Mr. Frank, on the others, you've got the other committees down there. I just want to make sure that, remind everyone that the Hall of Fame inductees are Friday night at 5 o'clock. Marty Hensley, Tara Pittman, and Mike Wade are going into the Sports Hall of Fame. If you can't be there at 5, board members, I think we need to let Ms. Smith know if we're coming. But everyone else, if you can't be there, we're going to interview them during the girls' game on Homestand Talk Show. If you guys want to see them talk about McDowell High School and their time there, so I think it's a great time. 3 well-deserved inductees this year, really good ones, and a lot of you might know them. I was a kid when most of them were here, but Marty was a Tar Heel, so go Tar Heels.
And Mr. Suttles, at 5 there will be a dinner, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody aware of that. Okay, does anybody else have anything for the board? Mr. Allison, I don't think you missed anything while you were out, but if you think you do, you good? Okay. I'm not being facetious, I just want to make sure.
I think so.
Okay, item number 13 on the agenda is approval consent agenda. And one thing that I hate to even bring this up, but I noticed on our thing it says proposed McDowell County Schools 2025 graduation dates. Is that not supposed to be 2026?
It is. Good point.
No, and I didn't mean that derogatory. I just want to make sure myself.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, we can pull any item out if anybody has a question and take it separate, or we can approve the whole consent agenda. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to, if anybody wants to pull something out, let me know. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
I'll make that motion that we approve it. That's printed.
We have a motion by Mr. Suttles and a second by Ms. Allen Helms on approval of the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on the consent agenda? With no further discussion, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is a unanimous vote of 9. And we don't need a continuation of the closed session. But we do need to take action on closed session items, personnel considerations. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, both certified and non-certified?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. McGinnis and a second by Mr. Shuford on the action, closed session items on personnel considerations, consideration both certified and non-certified. Is there any further discussion on those? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is a unanimous vote. And earlier, Dr. Gritt alluded to the fact that the principals are here tonight, and I want to say on behalf of the board, we appreciate you being here. I'm sorry Mr. Warwick isn't here. Wish him a speedy recovery. And I want to say this. It's real good that you're here. I know it's a pain, but it's good because if we got any questions, man, we can go straight to the source. And it's awesome. And we see all the good work that you're doing everywhere. I mean, it's wonderful. I'm out in the community, and it's good news. And I overemphasize the fact that it's a good time to be a student in McDowell County. And I'm going to say this too, because you guys make it what it is. But you know, I'm a supporter wholeheartedly of public education. And it's like my brother and I had a discussion when my son that was here tonight was young. One of my neighbors wanted him to go to private school. And my brother and I, I said, you think I ought to send him to private school? You know, he's going to get a good education, a lot of opportunities. He said, you do what you want to do, but he said, my kids are going to public school because they need to know how to deal with people later in life that they've grown up with. And I'm telling you, I found that out in my lifetime, that you need to know how to deal with people, good, bad, indifferent. You know, you need to know how to deal with it. And if you're ever in a position of administration or supervisory position, those problems are going to come up. They're going to come up. And I just thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. Item number 16 on the agenda is announcements. The Board of Education work session and training Monday, January 26th, 5 p.m. Legislative Appreciation Breakfast Friday, January the 30th. And I hate to say this, but Ms. Wilkerson, could you tell the Mr. Me or whatever, that day we have got to be at the Legislative Appreciation Breakfast. We're not skipping our duties to be there, but that day we cannot be there, so we'll catch it the next month. And we apologize for that, but we do need to be here. And the Board of Education regular session meeting Monday, February the 9th at 6 p.m. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll say.
Okay. Okay, we've had a motion by Mr. Baker and a second by Mr. Abernathy to adjourn. at 5 minutes till 8, 7:55. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, which is a 9